So I'm heading out to a shoot, and I am bringing just a couple of my things to support the shoot, so I don't have to bring all of my equipment, which is always nice. It means less packing for me. But what that also means is my gear and the rest of the production company's gear is going to be intermingled, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. Alright, well, I got here a few minutes early, so I figured I'd go ahead and get this out of the way before the actual job starts so I can focus on that. But earlier I said that gear is intermingled. My gear is going to be intermingled with the others, and that's kind of what I want to talk about in this video. And I wanted to just emphasize the importance before you ever leave your house or apartment or wherever you're living, be sure to label your gear before you get on set. What I do, there's a couple ways of doing it. You can either get a label maker, which is obviously nice because you can type out everything and it's really neat, nice and easy and neat. But another thing I do, you can see in my bag, I don't have a lot of equipment here, but like this morning I wrote TE just on this right here because somebody wanted to use this mic. So brought that. My red tool right here, I just wrapped in like yellow tape, and a lot of my stuff I just decided to wrap in yellow electrical tape. And then sometimes what I'll do is use my label maker, a clear label, and then the yellow tape, so it's like a second way for me to identify. It's just another good way to identify my gear from far away. So usually if there's a yellow sticker on it, my first assumption is that might be mine, and then I'll go up there and be like, oh yeah, that's mine, that's got my name on it. Usually on set, like, nobody on the crew is out there to like steal your gear intentionally, but if your gear's not labeled, then they might just think it's theirs, or the PA might just assume it's the production company's, whoever is in charge. So yeah, just label your stuff. It makes life a lot easier, and you just kind of know what gear is yours and what gear is not yours. So everyone's happy and everyone has their stuff at the end of the day. So we are getting close to call time, so what I'll probably do for the rest of the video is just maybe set the camera up and kind of just roll in some BTS and maybe talk about some of the different setups that we've got going on. Should be a fun shoot. So if you're into that kind of thing, then hang out and I'll see you in the comments. Alrighty, well, thanks for hanging out. So this first shot here, we are setting up to get some shots of this bowl with some water dropping here. You'll see in a second. And being on an infinity white wall, the cyc wall, we wanted to create a little bit of texture. So we essentially just moved the frame that you can see there. It's a 6x frame with some magic cloth. We just moved it a little bit to the right, and a 1200D is behind that, and we're just using the frame as a way to create some shadows and some texture. And honestly, hard light just looked better on this anyways. It just created more texture on that plain white floor, and we had a lot of shots to set up for, so that was the quickest and easiest way to get some hard light and some shadows and some texture there on the ground. And it ended up looking really cool. You can kind of see on the screen there on the left in the background kind of how it turned out. In this shot here is after setup, and we're just getting some shots here, shooting in 120 frames per second. It's a little parallax action. We're shooting on the Ursa 12K with the Atlas Mercury, which is awesome. This is on the 72mm. After we got that, we're tearing this Dana dolly down a little bit and moving over to a tripod shot right on the ground. And we're using the Zocular Flowtech 75 with the Active 6 head, which is awesome. It lets you get super low to the ground. And we're just starting to kind of move light around. I ended up moving that back once I got a better idea of what we wanted to make it look like. But just using some apple boxes here to kind of raise the prop up for this next shot. So we're just kind of creating this little canvas right here. We're going to put this plexiglass that you'll see on there. And now we're moving that frame back to kind of create some more shadows. Again, just using the frame for creating the shadows. And then you can see the director there pouring some water on this plexiglass to kind of get a shot of a petal, a flower petal hitting the water. So you can see here, that's kind of what we're working with. And this was kind of a safety shot, and you can see how stoked I was, how the shot turned out. It ended up looking really cool. And then after that, we are getting a very hard shot to get, and this is at 240 frames per second on the Ursa 12K, trying to track the petal falling from the ground to the plexiglass, and doing that without a robot is extremely difficult. Now moving on to this next shot, this is kind of a last minute idea, but this insert actually looked pretty cool, so we're really stoked that we got it. It's kind of like a flow of blood. It was like betrayal, I think, was in the storyline where this was being shown. And then here you can see me trying my hardest to get those water petals to fall to plexiglass that I ended up just pushing off, which ended up looking pretty cool. Now as for lighting, you can see in the background there is just a little bit of light there. That's the 600C, the Lightstorm 600C with the spotlight mount. And that was just used to just create a little bit more texture in the background so it just didn't look super flat. And you can see on this shot right here on the playback, that texture there in the background just adds just a little bit more depth and dimension. All right, in this last setup that I have BTS for, using the 600C Pro again, and this is at 2000 Kelvin or something, and I'm setting up the Amaran F22C using the new bracket, which makes it so much easier and sturdy and robust for mounting overhead and stuff. And we ended up setting that to about 7000 Kelvin, I believe, to get extreme color contrast between the lights. And then set the camera, I think, about 4500 Kelvin. And if I can get frames, I will for this. But my camera ended up dying, so I just took a picture of the final setup here so you can kind of get an idea of what we're working with. Ended up looking really cool. Did a bunch of dollying in shots, so turned out looking pretty sweet. And this next shot here was kind of like part of the story. This character is in jail, so I thought maybe using that kind of window frame looking gobo would kind of give this illusion that there's maybe moonlight coming through a window in the ceiling or something like that. So the frame actually turned out looking really cool. If I can get some of the frames, hopefully I can put that in here. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have because my camera died and I forgot my battery charger for the BTS camera. So that's pretty much it. So appreciate you watching, and don't forget to label your gear. See you in the next one.